No. Such a simple little word. Only 2 letters. And probably one of the first we learn as children, as toddlers. How often do you notice when you're out and about a toddler screaming and shouting and tantruming and yelling no at their parents? It is usually one of the first words we learn. And yet, as an adult, particularly an adult woman, it can be one of the words that is the hardest to use. Why is that? Welcome to this episode of Natter with Niamh. For those of you who are new here, I'm Niamh. I'm a women's confidence coach, Reiki master and meditation facilitator. And I help women to say no in their lives, to address their own needs and to actually put themselves first so that they have the energy to care for their loved ones without anger or resentment. And that all stems from learning to use the word no. One of my favourite quotes is by the poet Maya Angelou, and it's simply, "No is a complete sentence." And what she means by that is that no doesn't need any reasons or any explanations. That you have the right to say no to whatever you choose to say no to. Yet as women, we so often find it hard to say no. We're taught as children to be good girls, to be seen and not heard, to do as we're told, to be quiet, but not too quiet. If we show emotions, we're often told we're overreactive or oversensitive. So we learn to tamp down our emotions. We learn not to express ourselves. We learn to people please. We learn to watch out, to watch those around us, and to anticipate their needs. And to jump in before sometimes they've even recognized their own needs. We've learned to serve others before we serve ourselves. We've been taught that it's selfish to put ourselves first. In other words, that saying no to anybody else is selfish. Because that's not what a good girl would do. Good girls are here to please. But what happens when you continue to say yes to everything and everybody? When you fail to put yourself first, to look after your own needs, is you end up exhausted and stressed and anxious. You end up with raised cortisol levels, which means it makes it harder for you to sleep, which in turn raises your cortisol levels, raises your level of stress and anxiety. It's a self-perpetuating circle. The more we don't say no, or the less we say yes to ourselves, the more stressed and anxious we become. Because we only have 24 hours in each and every day. There is only so much we can fit in a day. And if we're running around trying to cater for everybody else's needs, we're constantly chasing our tail. We never feel like we've accomplished everything on our list. And we still don't have time to breathe, to do the things that we want to do. Rest is no longer seen as a priority. Have you ever spotted that pile of laundry or the dishes that need to be done just as you're on your way to bed? and feel that you can't leave them. And you think, oh, it's only going to take a few minutes. But it always takes longer than you think. And then you're half an hour later going to bed than you would have wished. So that's half an hour of your sleep and rest gone. When actually those dishes or that laundry probably wasn't your job. It probably wasn't even you that used those clothes or those dishes. You're preempting other people's needs again. You're saying yes when actually what you really mean is no. And I get that because I hate coming down in the morning to piles of dirty dishes. So I will often compromise my sleep in order to have a clean kitchen for when I come down in the morning. And so often that mess in the kitchen is not mine. So I do understand. But I also know that if I go to bed and I sleep well, that mess when I come down in the morning is not so triggering, because I feel rested and I'm more able to cope with it. So this is where we have to draw a line, where we have to look at what we're doing and whether it's helping us or whether it's hindering us. Now that example might not apply to your life, but there are other things I'm sure that you are doing that maybe you don't need to do. Maybe you could say no. I've also told the story before of helping my family find things when my children were little, and with my ex, constantly losing things like keys, glasses, wallets, and I would spend hours searching for them. What that created was a dependence on me to find their stuff. Mum became very good at finding things, and I will admit that is one of my skills. I am very good at finding things. The trouble is I was spending way too much time finding other people's stuff and not fulfilling my own needs. So I would be late somewhere because I would be spending hours trying to find somebody else's keys or gym kit or whatever it was. And when I stopped doing that, when I drew a line and said, no, you find your own stuff from now on, they learned to put their stuff in the same place every day when they came home. Keys went in a bowl or on a hook or in their bag. Wallets remained in their bags. Gym kits went to the washing machine, the laundry or whatever. But they learned once I stopped helping, once I said, no, I'm not doing this anymore. This is your stuff and your responsibility. They learned to take responsibility for it. Because the trouble is that when we're constantly saying yes to others, what we're creating is learned helplessness here. They learn to be helpless. They learn to rely on you. And I understand that when it comes to very small children, yes, there is huge amounts we need to do for them. But we can teach them how to do it, and we can teach them to say no. And the same goes if you're caring for somebody who's ill or special needs, whatever. Yes, I understand there is an awful lot that you need to do for them in terms of caring that you can't say no to. But there may be some things that you're doing that's stealing their independence, that you could actually sit and have a discussion with them if they're able to, and see what it is they actually need you to be doing for them and what they would like to be able to do for themselves. Where can you say no? That doesn't just help you, but helps the people that are currently relying on you for your yes. Because when we teach people that they can always rely on us and always come to us, not only are we teaching them learned helplessness, we're depriving them of the opportunity to grow independence and confidence. Yes, the first time they try something that you usually do for them, they might not get it right. But you probably didn't the first time either. And this is how we learn and grow. You will learn and grow in confidence by learning to say no. And the people you are saying no to will grow in confidence by learning to do the things that you're currently doing for them. So, where can you say no? And it doesn't have to be huge. We just need to start with a simple little no's in our lives. For example, if you have teenagers at home and they're constantly creating mess in the kitchen because they, as teenagers do, snack non-stop, can you say no to doing the dishes? Can you help them learn to tidy up after themselves? And yes, there might be some mess for a few days or maybe even weeks while they get the idea that you're not doing this anymore and that they have to do it themselves. There may be some fight back. But if you stay firm and stand firm in that no and claim that time for yourself, whether it's for extra rest, whether it's the 15 minutes you'd spend cleaning the kitchen, you now go out for a short walk, or you spend that time reading, crocheting, painting, whatever it is you enjoy. You will feel better in yourself, and they will learn a valuable life skill. And yes, a lot of this podcast is around the dishes because that's my main current fight in my life. Yours might be different. And if there is something different and you would like some help with that, please do contact me. I'm open to sharing ideas. I'm open to listening to you, to having a conversation around what is really stopping you from saying no right now in your life. Because while it is such a very simple word, it's so difficult to say sometimes. So I'm leaving you with the question of, is there something very small that you can say no to today that could make a huge difference in your life? Thank you for listening, and I'll see you on the next episode.